A very good evening, ladies and gentlemen. This is our industry executive panel discussion, and it is our theme for this year, Ready for Any. And to lead this discussion, we're very excited to have here with us a very special person. So ladies and gentlemen, please join me as we welcome onto this stage Paramita Chatterjee.
So this part of the discussion is really going to focus on the Indian context and focus on the theme, which is Ready for Any. So let's try and understand how technology is moving at a blistering pace, how you as CIOs at some of the largest companies here in the country can really utilize and capitalize on that technology in order to bring you those cost benefits. Thank you so much, gentlemen, for joining us. Arun, let me start with you. When VMware chose the theme Ready for Any, clearly this was the global theme that you adopted. But when you apply to the Indian context and you've been analyzing the Indian market, what, according to you, is the biggest, would you say, challenge or opportunity that exists currently for industry from your perspective?
IT today needs to stand up to the demands of business to deliver to the kind of challenges that they're going to face either internally or externally. Right? So when I think about it from that perspective, and I look at the last 12 months in terms of what we've seen in terms of tectonic shifts in the industry, right? And specifically when I look at the adoption of some very key technologies like mobility and cloud in this country, India is starting to leapfrog, a lot of developed nations in this space. Sanjay and I talk all the time about the opportunity from a mobility perspective. If you think about smartphones, India is expected to reach 500 million smartphones in the next 2 years. Right? Today our penetration is under 2% in the enterprise. So think about what that opportunity represents from an organization standpoint in terms of enhancing productivity of its employees, driving agility, driving next generation of services. So I think we're in a really interesting era, and the real challenge is, are you going to be ready? I think that's what we're trying to address today.
Let's ask Rupinder Goel that question. Rupinder, how did you get ready for that challenge?
It's not a challenge, it's an opportunity. So we started Tata Communications around 12 years ago from BSNL domestic business to global Tata Communications, where roughly 70% plus revenues are today coming from outside India. And it's a really very pleasing story. So it's a big transformation, and we had a challenge with us. Our infrastructure, physical or technical infrastructure, it was not agile, and we had challenge with the speed and velocity. So we had two choices, is really to take the silo stuff, the physical infrastructure in terms of the buildings, data centers, and also what resides in it. And just to give an example, we had data centers in Vashi in Mumbai, which were built over time, and those buildings were the appropriate ICT, SEZ zones and whatnot. But over time, now the railway station is built under it, and the data center is on top of it. You cannot even bring any of the heavy devices to take the UPS out or anything, because all the area around is restricted. You can imagine how will be that situation into an organization with the challenges. So we had two choices. One is to rebuild, lift and shift transition, or really think out of the box and be innovative and try something very different, very bold and very disruptive. And that's what we did. So we took our footprint of the several data centers and consolidated it together, and we brought in consolidation from the space point of view, shrunk it, and also density. So we brought the silicon together and make it highly fungible to be agile and deliver solutions in time.
Okay, so Raghu, now the question is that how would you say in terms of how important is when we talk about cloud as an investment by companies in order to really transition their technology onto that platform, how critical or vital is it? How large a role is it playing currently, globally speaking?
Globally speaking, I would say it's the number one or number two priority for pretty much any company, right? Most companies are in the process of becoming a digital company. And most companies are in the process of changing their business model such that the primary way they interact with their consumers is through mobility, right?
Right.
So, or through Internet of devices and sensors and so on and so forth. So if you put these two things together, the only way you can transform yourselves is if your software applications are all cloud-based applications.
Right.
Otherwise, you cannot reach a global audience. Otherwise, you cannot scale to the level mobility requires you to scale. And as he was just talking about, otherwise you cannot deliver with the level of agility that your business customers want to. So it's pretty much a universal transition that we are seeing. The only, I would say, the comparable transition in the technology industry was when mainframes first came about.
Right.
That was transition number one.
And this is
mainframe.
Right.
And this is comparable to that, or client server, or the advent of the web.
So have we reached that tipping point here in India as yet, Arun?
I think if I look at the cross-section of my customers here in the room, I doubt there's a single customer here with whom I've not had a conversation about their vision for where they want to go in the cloud, right? So last 18 months has been fascinating for me to see the speed at which we've seen, one, customers adopt, and two, in some cases, customers who are on their journey. And I think the big difference, and Raghu talks about this very well, is you need to get your building blocks right, because we're going to live in a hybrid world for a very long time.
Right.
We're talking to a customer recently who said, look, we want to move everything to the cloud, but it's going to take us 5 years to do that. And by cloud, he means public. So which means for the next 5 years, he's going to operate in his data center, and he's going to operate on a public cloud, right? And he's got to find a way to live through that transition. So that's the piece, I think, that we're spending most of our time, which is helping those customers pull those essential building blocks in place. So when they do make that transition and they have that hybrid environment, their ability to go back and forth is completely seamless. And I think that's extremely critical today.
Sanjay, let me come to you, because into this mix comes in the mobile space, and clearly all the the developments on the application front. So as a company, explain to us, how do I amalgamate the technology that exists on the cloud with, of course, my front end, say, consumer experience? How do I sort of amalgamate the two and ensure that it is a seamless, secure experience on both ends?
If you think about Twitter, there's a reason why it's 140 characters. Why is it not 160? Why is it 120? It's built because text messaging, and there's a lot of research as to what's the right message that someone may want to write with sort of 2 fingers in a text message type of scheme. The entire construct of Facebook changed fundamentally when they began to understand that mobile was the center of the universe of how people wanted to send messages. So, my thesis is today, if you're building an application that's either consumer-driven, but certainly driven the enterprise, I mean, the e-commerce guys will tell you the same thing. Much of it's happening on a mobile, it's Amazon or Flipkart. So the same things happen in the enterprise world. If anything, the enterprise world sort of mirrors the consumer world, but it's delayed by some small time shift factor. If you're a new business application or an old business application, you have to build your application for a mobile-first interface because the Generation X is looking at that application most likely on this type of device. And an SAP screen now has to have a lot more. So there's very natural ways in which you can rethink this.
Raghu, let me come to you because in the banking domain, again, when you talk about older traditional banks, I know you've been out of India for a long time, but when you ask them to transition, particularly when it comes to their data centers, and when you ask them to transition or shift that data onto that cloud, you coined a very interesting phrase, which is software-defined data center. Really, how challenging is that process for, say, some of the large public sector banks with huge physical infrastructure?
It's a journey to begin with. And the first part of the process usually is to modernize the existing infrastructure using the software-defined principles, right? And that, if you think about the spend that for most of these banks, 60–70% of it is in maintaining or keeping up with the current applications. The remaining is building new applications. So in order to be able to drive innovation faster, the first thing they have to do is to take that 70% and bring it down to 50, even 40%. And the key to doing that is becoming a software-defined data center, because that modernizes the whole process. It dramatically reduces the cost, increases the speed, at which you can change even your existing applications. And those applications tend to be the applications that they would want to keep inside the data centers, their corporate data centers anyway, due to regulatory reasons. So that's the first part of the journey that most of these companies and banks are going through. Not just here, by the way, all around the world. And the second part of the journey is look at their front-end applications, the ones that are facing the customers that Arun talked about, that is in every one of our smartphones. And those applications typically tend to live on a public cloud. And they tie these two together and have data transfers going back and forth using some common networking technology. So we call these hybrid applications, where a portion of the application, the regulated portion of the application or the core data is living still on-premise, and then the customer experience is living in the cloud. And they're connected together under a common networking fabric and a management fabric. And that's how most of these banks are dealing with it. And this is going to be the state of affairs for a long time to come, because it gives them best of both worlds.
Okay, let's talk about the future. What does the future look like? Rupinder, to you as a company, how do you see yourself morphing further, innovating further on the technology platform?
So if I look at the future, like as we have done public cloud, private cloud, whatnot, I see it like, still a cake with the 3 layers. Bottom is the crust, and the middle is the spongy piece, and the top is your chocolate or vanilla, whatever flavor you have. So the bottom crust, more or less like, your cloud hardware, infrastructure as a service, platform as a service, they're all there. Moving up to the sponge part, that's where the data is the king. Your data and application are residing. And one of the challenges comes in, how do you cross-connect these on the cloud across the board without having any challenge? So Concur as an example to SAP, to Oracle, and several other your homegrown application legacies, because nobody is born today, some other, like Uber or something. A lot of MNCs exist for a long time. So that's your second sponge, how you extend together from small pastries to a cake. And the top layer, like SD and NFV, how to take the next plunge and make it really the intelligent layer, where you're not dependent on your application or data running in different data centers across different environments, and they can be intelligently working together, and you have independence, and you are not like handcuffed with the technologies or physical limitations of your data or services. That we see the future, and which will be the reality soon.
So Sanjay, what's the dessert that you're seeing in the future?
I think, first off, as we think about the way the world, we've talked a lot about mobile cloud. Our advice to customers is, software is the revolution that's transformed this world. It's not to say hardware isn't important. It is very important. But software is like the wine and hardware is like the bottle. So you have to take advantage of what this software-defined infrastructure, software-defined everything can do for you. We are a key proponent in that, but everybody who's driving towards that would be how I would think about how you can rethink your architectures to get the most cost out of the system while driving most innovation. The other part I think that every one of us need to do, because there's no success without successors, we have to build an organization that can be timeless, that can scale for the next generation. And you always have to be thinking about architectures that are timeless. Typically, we tend to build architectures that date themselves and then have to be updated every 10 years or 15 years. When you build a timeless organization, you build a timeless architecture, you take yourself out of the equation, or you take layers of it out of the equation, the architecture or the system scales. And I'd encourage every one of you to make that part of your go-forward principles.
Raghu?
To add to what Sanjay talked about, I think if you sort of step back and say, look, on the one hand, I have the ability to know and react to everything that my customers are doing at all times because of mobility. And then on the other hand, on the back end, I literally have this enormous sea of capacity due to cloud. So now, for the first time, you can literally collect every piece of information you want to know in order to deliver the best experience to your consumers, right? And so we're already seeing the rise of things like machine learning and neural networks and so on and so forth, as businesses and business applications become more and more intelligent about the users and the employees that we serve. And today, a lot of that intelligence is used after the fact in a reactive fashion. What we will see next is all of that intelligence used in a proactive way to predict how to deliver the best experience to you as a user even before you know what you wanted, right? Based upon how much the businesses know about you. And that's going to lead to a sustainable differentiation for most corporate enterprises. I think that's where all of this is headed.
Arun?
I think it's great for companies that innovate. And
Right.
I think, Sanjay talked about this. Innovation is the lifeline of this industry. And I think, we're really privileged to be in a place and a time where, the pace at which we're innovating organically or inorganically, we're able to deliver this vision for our customers. Just to close from my perspective, the gold rush is on. Everybody wants to be on the cloud. And I think, the biggest risk that you run is, you run feet first into it, and then, trying to figure out, oops, how did I get here and how do I backtrack? That's going to be the biggest challenge most companies have. So we're super focused in terms of, our
Right.
future is about helping customers understand that it's one cloud. Think about it as a pool of resources. It could be sitting anywhere. How do you deliver to that one cloud any application from any device? And that's what we're super focused on. And to the extent that we continue to innovate, we're having a blast. So, I'll leave it at that.
Okay, great. One cloud, any application, any device. That's been something that I've come to really understand what it actually means for me as an end user. And of course, for all of you, I hope that brought you some insights. And thank you so much, gentlemen.
Ladies and gentlemen, it's time for us to move on to our main part for this evening. It's time for us to present the IT Excellence Awards in association with ET Now. So ladies and gentlemen, we have 3 categories of awards coming your way this evening. And so to hand over this set of awards, please join me as we welcome onto this stage Mr. Arun once again. And may I also request Mr. Noah Wasmer, Worldwide Vice President, EUC Strategy, to join him to give away this set of awards. Our first award in this category is for ITES.
And the winner of this award is Infosys Limited.
Thank you, gentlemen. Thank you so much. As we move on with our IT Excellence Awards over here in association with ET Now, our second category of awards for this evening is called as the Technology Innovation Awards. So once again, to give away this set of awards, Arun, may I please disturb you and ask you to come and join us on stage. Could I also request Mr. Frank Feldman, he is Senior Director, SDDC, APJ, and Mr. Jeff Bauman, he's Managing Director, AirWatch, APJ, to join us on stage to hand over these awards. Our first award in this category is for software-defined storage.
The winner is Big Tree Entertainment or Book My Show.
Our next award in this category is for private cloud.
Yeah. The winner of this award is Tata Communications.
The next award in this category is for desktop virtualization.
The winner of this award is Tata Consultancy Services, TCS.
Our next award in the category is for borderless ODC.
And the award here goes to Wipro Limited.
Gentlemen, thank you so much. Arun, if you could continue joining us on stage. And gentlemen, thank you so much for joining us and presenting these awards.
The next category of awards, gentlemen, is for those who actually stood up and took that action. It's for those CIOs who are ready for anything but wouldn't take no for an answer. So let's begin the Ready for Any CIO Awards. Can I please invite Sanjay and Raghu to join Arun on stage to give away this set of awards, please?
So the first award in this category of Ready for CIO Awards goes to a person for laying down a technology roadmap for his organization to provide shared services based on a private cloud. India's leading passenger airline company. Mr. Ramandeep Virdi from Interglobe Enterprises. Next award in this category goes to a person for delivering the key workspace transformation project for more than 2,000 users in a key offshore development center. Give a big hand to Mr. Ramanna from HCL Technologies. We have come to the end of this award ceremony, and this is the last award in this particular category. Give a big hand to Mr. P.R. Devaraj from Cognizant Technology Solutions. Thank you, gentlemen. We have come to the end of this award ceremony. Hearty congratulations to all the Ready for Any CIO award winners.
It is an absolute honor to receive this award from VMware in the industry vertical financial services. We started our journey with VMware about 8 years ago. We started virtualizing in the data center. We have virtualized 300 servers. So we have 25 physical servers, which is a good ratio of 1:12. This year we started again on the virtualization journey, but on the desktop side, and we have virtualized close to 600 desktops, and very happy to receive this award for this new initiative. Actually, this award is for my entire team.
Being part of the winner of this event, of the award, it is a testimonial to the strategy, the vision and the execution that has been executed by the team as a whole, and it gives more impetus and the encouragement for the team to look forward to the new horizon.
Yeah, it feels great to be recognized, for whatever we do at the back end. IT has always been seen as a back office support, and the times are changing. We all need to be in forefront to support business, and I think we are living in times when there is a huge technology shift which is happening. Most of the technology has commoditized in a way. People are just going off the internet and picking up the technology piece to enable themselves, and as a technology leader one needs to be really in forefront to support those IT initiatives and the business initiatives. So yeah, I think it feels great to be recognized after all.